Hello friends, this news has taken from the Times of India. In this, the best times of the worst of times in India, for many readers of this newspaper, it is former. By contrast, lower middle class households already on the edge because of the pre-pandemic economic slowdown have been forced by the pandemic into selling property and borrowing for consumption. With jobs scarce even as the economy recovers, and children falling behind in school because of learning losses during the pandemic. The lived experience of low-income household, their रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी been worsening steadily over the last few years. You would not know any of this from business commentary or government, but it is there in the data. Who's buy, borrowing, selling? Start with demand. One proxy for well-being of the lower middle class, especially urban dwellers, is the sale of new two-wheelers. Data from SIAM shows that domestic two-wheelers sales have fallen by 36% since 2018 to 19 and are now back at 2012 to 13 levels. In contrast, sales of domestic passengers cars, typically bought by upper middle class households, fell only by 9% over the same period, and luxury car maker Mercedes-Benz reported a 64% increase in sales in the first 9 months of 2022 over 2021 and expects to match or surpass its 2018 to 19 sales record. Clearly lower the income of the household, the more severely demand has been impacted. If indeed poorer households are stressed, we should see them borrowing to support consumption. Even low-income households have gold jewelry they can pawn. RBI's monthly bulletin indicates that commercial bank loans against gold jewelry increased by a huge 218% between February 2019 and August 2022. Indeed, household borrowing other than for housing, vehicles, securities or education increased by 80% over this period, suggesting households across the board were borrowing to support consumption. Those who cannot borrow sell. For farmers, this means land sales. According to the National Family Health Survey, average land holding were 22% lower in the latest round 2019 to 21 compared to the 2015 to 16 round for household in the lowest wealth quintile. Land holding shrunk by 8.5% annually since the previous round, even though the land holding of this quintile were growing between 2% to 5% per annum. In the surveys between 2004 to 5 and 2015 to 16, the poorest landowners seem to be engaged in the substantial distress sales in recent year. The good and the not so good. Could poorer rural households be selling out and moving to better opportunities in the cities? Probably not, because labor share in agriculture has increased over the last few years. In contrast to the steadily shrinking share before that, India is simply not creating enough jobs in manufacturing and services. Indeed, the demand for last resort Manrega jobs has increased from 1.64 crore in 2015 to 3.07 crore in 2022, completing the grim picture in rural areas. To be sure, there have been areas of substantial progress over the last few years. Large corporations have cleaned up their balance sheets, as have banks, though it remains to be seen how much of the pandemic-related distress has been recognized. As global supply chains look for alternative suppliers outside China, India could benefit, and Indian services exports may grow significantly as new technologies to provide service at distance have emerged. Except that there's a problem. Yet to really make this India's movement, we cannot dilute ourselves. Even though we have had quarters of spectacular growth during the pandemic, they followed quarters of dreadful decline. In reality, last quarter's GDP numbers suggest we have grown about 2.5% per year since 2019, way below our pandemic rate of the about 5%. Among large economies, we are among the furthest below the level to which we should have grown in the absence of the pandemic. The fact that a significant part of our economy is still distressed may account for this underperformance. Indeed, corporate titans seems to recognize the drags on our economy for their tepid investment simply does not live up to their cherry pronouncement. Where do we go from here? Start by recognizing that all is not well. With the global economy slowing this year, we will be even more reliant on domestic demand. Government infrastructure spending is good but not enough. Unfortunately, the still healthy demand of our rich disproportionately falls on foreign goods while the spending power of the rest is impaired. The solution is not more tariffs, which will make India a costlier place to do business and ensure global producers think twice about producing in India. Instead, our approach should be two-pronged. First, limit the long-term consequence of the damage already done. For instance, by ensuring children in government school have access to remedial tutoring so that they can make up for learning losses. Second, implement bold reforms on the business environment and tariffs so that both foreign and domestic investment pick up to create jobs. Only with more high quality jobs will we restore health to the lower middle class, without which we cannot achieve our collective dreams of prosperity. Friends, if you like this news, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching and listening.